Hello, and thank you for coming. My name is Jesus Rodriguez, and this genie weird guy is...
Hello, mi nombre es Ward Bell. No, that's the best Spanish I can do. I am Ward Bell. I also am at IdeaBlade. We are colleagues together, and we have worked with others to build an Angular dynamic app that you can actually try yourself.
Yes. So, what are these dynamic apps?
I don't know, you tell me.
So, there are pages that we create on the fly. They are a mix of HTML and Angular components that are driven by metadata. What's metadata? We're going to learn that later. So, why?
I don't know, you tell me. I don't know why. I don't even know why we're here.
So, for example, you have a classic content management page, for example, the Angular IO site. Imagine we have like 150 guides. Do you want to have 150 components with templates? No, because they look the same, are the same exact component, just the HTML changes. That's not something you want to do.
No.
So what else can you do?
Well, a lot of the people I know are interested in creating dynamic forms that are driven by data. So maybe they have surveys, and maybe they have inspections or something like that. And you can't imagine that they want a developer to be involved in creating every single one. You would expect that there'd be some kind of authoring software by which the people who really knew what they were doing would actually generate those. And so we need some way to dynamically create these pages out of the metadata. Oh, by the way, there's probably your own idea, and you just insert that right here. You're part of the talk.
Yeah, we can share the ideas later.
So there's a problem.
There's a problem.
There is a problem.
Damn it.
It's, I love this. It's an unnatural act. Woo! It's an unnatural act in Angular. Why is that, Jesus?
So the problem is that there's exactly one template per component class, because the template and the component are like one single unit. They are inseparable.
Right. There's no way you don't get one without the other. When you're done with the compiler, you got one.
Yeah. So we can say that the component class and template are static. We need to write them beforehand.
Right, because even if they're built once, we can't rebuild them on the fly. No, so we're kind of stuck. There were other technologies like Angular, JS, that you could do it, but not with Angular.
You can't say that in this.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to show you how to do it today our way, which is the way that the Angular documentation works. And I like to eat cookies. I don't know about you. So if you imagine that a chocolate chip cookie is the HTML with Angular component chocolate chips sprinkled across, we'll call those embeddable, then we have chocolate chip cookie. But I don't like just one chocolate chip cookie. I like lots of chocolate chip cookies, and they're all different, but they're all chocolate chip cookies. So this is a metaphor that may help you. But this right here is a page from...
Yeah, this is a page from the Angular docs. It looks like a normal page, but it has this component. All those components that you see on the screen.
Can we get everybody to say component?
Yes, it's like developers, but with components.
That's it. It's just a symphony of components.
Yes. So the thing is, all these components are generated on the fly.
Yeah. And we call these chocolate chips...
embeddable components.
I love it when you say it.
Yes, you
say
have
it again.
To find the most complicated word for me. Embeddable component.
Embeddable. All right, what is an embeddable component?
They are normal components. I mean, they don't have any special keyword, something that makes them an embedded component. It's just a normal component like any other.
I'm expecting a but, a pero, somewhere in here. There's a but in this.
Yes, there's always a but.
There's always a but. But what?
So, the problem is you cannot depend on dynamic input properties, because in a normal application you have a component that maybe pass some inputs to the component, but in this case we are generating that on the fly. So we don't have anything that will pass those dynamic inputs.
You're right, we can't bind to them.
That's correct. They can see the HTML between the tags. So for example, you can have a code example, and inside the code example tag you can put some code to show. But the problem is that we cannot, they are only HTML. If you put some Angular inside those tags, they're not going to be...
I like it when you say, like, there's a foo tag in the beginning and an end foo tag in the end, and what's in the middle?
Whatever.
Blah, 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 right? Blah, blah, blah.
Anything you can put there, but that's going to be treated as normal HTML, so there's no direct interaction with that content.
Right, I can't get it, I can't fish it out with view children.
Nope.
Right, I can just throw the content up on the screen.
Plain HTML.
These are limits, but we can probably live with them.
Sure. And then we have to register that with what we call the magic machinery, which we're going to explain now.
Poof, that's why we're dressed, well, I'm dressed like Aladdin. Okay, so what is it?
So we have a normal array of embeddable components. We just list it there. And then we have embeddable component service that it returns the list of components. Why? Because we will need to access them anywhere. Hey, this is my list of embeddable components. I want to do something with them.
Right, it's kind of a collection. Well, it's a toolbox or a collection that you might have. Yeah.
So how to register these embeddable components? We have an ng module, a normal ng module. You declare the component. In this case, we just pass the array with all the components.
Nothing unusual there.
No. We register our service in the provider list. And finally, the most important bit is the entry component. What is this entry component? When you have a normal component and you put that into a template, the compiler is going to see those components. But since we are going to use these components in the dynamic pages, the compiler is never going to see them. So it's like saying, hey, I don't care about them. Let's delete them. So,
so if I have a selector like app-foo, I'm never going to see app-foo anywhere on any template, because it's just going to be thrown in there. So the compiler doesn't know about it. We'd throw it away unless we did this.
That's correct.
Got it. So now that we've registered them, we've got to mega bootstrap them, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There's all kinds of other things you could say we were going to do with that, but we won't. Okay, so why do we say mega bootstrap? We say mega bootstrap because we're trying to make you think about what happens during a bootstrap. It turns out it's a lot like the process we're going to describe. You've got an app component, and it's really not expected to talk. It doesn't have any inputs or outputs. It fits the limitations that we described. It's going to throw away the content between the tags, and it could be dropped anywhere in the index.html. Who knows where it is? And then, once we've done that, what we also know is that you probably registered it with the app module. You remember that sort of Bootstrap property, and you always wondered what that is? Well, you're registering this embeddable component in there, and then you're asking Angular to boot it. The only challenge here is that you get one and only one of these guys on the screen. Not too good for us. But we're going to mega bootstrap. We're going to mega bootstrap. We're going to take these components that we're going to just like all around the screen, and we're going to do essentially the same process. What do we do here? So, you want me to tell him? No, go ahead, tell him.
No, so tell him.
Okay, I'll tell him. All right. It's my slide. That's right, I forgot. Okay, so anyway, you're going to get a component factory that knows how to create this component, and you're going to slap together the injector, and we're going to see this in a minute. And the element is going to go in there, and it's going to plunk out all of those little components with a new one. So it's just going to do the thing you do once at the beginning of the application many times. But you need something to drive all this.
Yeah, we need the metadata. The metadata can be, for example, an HTML document, a normal HTML where we put some components in there.
Yeah.
Okay. We can create this HTML by hand, or we can generate it. For example, in the Angular docs, we write the docs using Markdown because it's a common format for authors. They don't need to know how to use Angular itself.
Yep.
So you can write normal Markdown, you put your components in there, and then we generate the metadata from there. We can store it, we can index it, retrieve it. You can have the metadata wherever you want. And they don't need to be in the same application.
So let's just quickly go over this because we're a little slow here. So it could be HTML.
It could be HTML, it could be JSON. You can put an ID of where to find the document, the HTML you want to show. You have CSS classes. You can decide where you want to position the component on the screen.
Yeah, Alex Rickable has a great piece on how to dynamically locate the content anywhere. So there's a link in the deck for how you can learn about that.
And you can put any feature you want. In fact, you can write this metadata in XML. Don't try that in home.
But it all comes down to this. And glad we got to this because this is the only thing you ever have to know. It's this one function. You probably never heard of it. It's component factory create. And so component factory is the thing that creates an instance of your embeddable component. And I'll show you how to get that. You want it to be able to access services from anywhere, from the top of the app, local services, so you'll need an injector for that. You'll need an element to stuff it in. That's the one you went and found. And if there's any content between the tags, you'll want to be able to put that right on the screen. Now, I said, how do you get that factory? Well, you just throw it through this component factory resolver, and up it comes, and you get it. So that's the basics of it. Let's just sort of walk through the core code, which is this harness that does this stuff.
Yeah, so for each, we have to bootstrap a new document. So each time we bootstrap a new document, for each embeddable component factory, we find all the elements with this component selector. You can see there how we are using a simple query selector all, which is a normal HTML function. It's not something special. Then for each, for example, imagine we are working around the awesome embeddable component. For each awesome element
whatever the thing is,
we create an embedded component from the factory.
You just saw this function a second ago.
Yeah, and we replace the element. Then we try to map all the attributes because you cannot have dynamic inputs, but you can have static inputs on them. So we basically go to all the attributes in the embedded component and we pass that to the real component. And then we hold on to that component. What does that mean, word?
Why do we hold on to that component? Because you want it to be a live component. And that means every time the change detection cycle happens in the big part of your application, you want change detection to happen for each of your embeddable components. And also, when the document changes, you need to get rid of, you need to destroy all the old embedded components and make way for the new ones. Otherwise, you get a memory leak. So this is the glue that kind of holds the whole thing together. You can do it all in one place, as we do in a class called the doc viewer component. And that's it, folks. Blah, 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 blah. I wish I could do him. Oh, silly wabbit.
You have to try.
I have to work harder. So let's see what this looks like in some of the code that we're doing. We have this wonderful harness up here that is actually an example of the application we're talking about.
Yeah, we have, in the left side, we have all the different documents, and in the right hand, we have all the dynamic content. So each, the tutorial intro, hero form, all of them are dynamic pages. They are structured in the runtime.
And this has, right off the gate, we have one that's doing this fortune cookie thing, a penny saved is a penny earned, blah, blah, blah. So how did we do it? Well, let's, I have to go the right way and put my glasses on. There we go. This is what it looks like. Somebody authored the document. This is the code, the text that you were reading. And then in here, there's our fortune. All right?
Yeah,
and that's all you had to do.
Yeah, leaving that aside, you can see that's a normal HTML. It's not special Angular things, just normal HTML with a custom element, which in this case is a component.
Yeah, and is there anything special about that component? Well, let's see what it is. This is the entire component, and it looks to me just like any other component.
It's a normal component. You have your service where you get your data from, a template where you put the information, but nothing else.
Nope, there's nothing special about this guy. Nope. And I just dropped it in. So let's do something a little more advanced. Here is, so we have this paragraph here, and we want to make it awesome in the most disgusting way possible. So we throw OMG, and we change every word the into the awesome, and it gets really tiresome. This is one of my least favorite embeddable components, but it's one we got. So how, I got to keep going the right way. How did we do that? Let's go take a look, and I believe that was in the intro.
Yes.
And so here was the paragraph unadorned as it originally was, and here it is with the awesome tag on it. So what we're showing is that you can grab the content between there. Now, we said that you can't interact with it as if there were real Angular components, and that is true, and yet we modified it, and so we had to do something where we hold our nose, which is that we gain access to the element, we grab the inner HTML, and now we're doing regex over it, everybody's favorite, and then jamming it back into the inner HTML.
Yeah, you have to remember that this inner HTML is HTML. If it has any Angular content inside, it's going to be treated as normal HTML.
But it's still an important capability to be able to do if you need to manipulate the thing itself. So we have shown an example of how you put stuff out there, but you might also want to take input in from the user. I mean, after all, this is Angular, and we build Angular components not to just put stuff on the screen, but also to be able to interact with the user. That's the value. And this right here is, right in the middle of everything, is a component. It's a form component. It's actually right out of the documentation. And it's absolutely live. So when I do this stuff and clear it out, we got validation, and we can submit it, and it does something, whatever it's supposed to do. And so we can actually do real Angular components that do real work. And if we were to look at how that was in the text, I believe that one is the hero form. And there you go, blah, 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 hero form, blah, 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 blah. The kind of thing that dogs can hear, blah, blah, blah. So there's our hero form.
I'm going to show you now the next one.
You're going to show me the next one?
Yes.
Step right up. This is going to scare me.
So, my favorite embedded component we have in the Angular is, there's a problem here. So, here we have a snippet of code. In this case is a console snippet to do npm start. But we also have custom snippets. We have this bit of code with a title in blue and a copy button where we can copy the snippets and paste it anywhere. And then we have this one. It's a wrong one, so we label that with a red message.
Did we create 3 separate components to do each of these styles?
No.
No, we did not.
We are going to see that now. In this case, we don't have a copy button because it's a bad snippet. So, let's see how that works. So here we have it's a code example embeddable component. And here you can see how we can pass input. It's not like we cannot use input at all. They are just static. In this case, hey, we want a code example using sh for the terminal and the class to give that nice black background. And then we have here one with a title.
That's what creates that blue header across there.
Yes, the title is what creates the blue header. And here we have a path to read our file. So in this case, just by having the avoid in it, it's going to put a red title.
Yep.
So this is another component. You can have your parameters, you can have content inside them, so you can do whatever you need.
And if we were to look in the code, what we would see, I think, is that the code...
Oh, it's true.
Yeah. You find the code, I'll talk about it. So inside is a code example, but there are actually 2 embeddable components that behave this way, and they delegate to a real component. So really, to do this, your embeddable component can be a shell around a whole tree of regular components that use everything that's available to you in Angular. You can put an entire application inside that and just use this little embeddable component wrapper around it to make it come to life as you sprinkle it into the code.
Yeah, and in this case, we can see all the attributes. They are property here, but they are attributes in the embeddable component. So if we solve the title and the path, they are here, and our doc viewer is able to pass those attributes to this property here automatically, which is super nice, thanks to Fabian, who did this change. And here we can see an AIO code, which is a normal component with normal input. So we redirect this embeddable component to a real component, as Word said. So we can have all our good things here.
So, Jesus, yes. Let's suppose, all right, we had this great toolbox, it's all under embedded. Let's suppose I have a component of my own, and I can't touch your toolbox. That's your module, you made it. What do I do?
So,
do we have an example of that?
Yes, we have.
So
here we have this questionnaire, which is custom one. You can build that from the server side. So the good thing about this one is that it is a normal component. It's not an embeddable component. Imagine this is a third-party one. So if we check the code, it is not in the embeddable folder.
Not in the embeddable module. It's not in our toolbox.
It has its own module with its own classes. So the interesting thing here
is we're completely locked out, right?
Yes, so here we have...
No, we're not. We're not locked out. We're totally locked in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So here we have the module where we register this questionnaire, whatever this name. I can't pronounce that, sorry. So here we can see how we declare all our components, what we normally do. Then we have to mark it as an entry component.
Only the top one. We don't care about the nested ones. We only care about
because the top one is the only one that's going to be used directly in the dynamic pages. The other one that's going to be used by this one. And there's a good trick that my friend Ward is going to explain, please.
Oh, yes. So probably most of you have created modules and you've never done anything inside them. They've just been like module class and you're done. And it's almost like, what good is a class anyway? But it turns out that you can do stuff inside that module class. You can, for example, give it a constructor. And when you give it a constructor, that means you get injection. You are able to pass services into a module as it's being created. In this case, the service that we're actually interested in is the registry of all of our embeddable components. Right now, it only had the toolbox, the stuff that was the embedded ones that we had locked in. But of course, once we're given the service, we have access to that list. And what he's doing there is registering our top-level component into the toolbox. And suddenly, it joins the party. It can party on like any other normal toolbox. And so that's how that one gets in.
Yes. And finally, we have this, the long history one, which is a document where we use all our components, so you can read about them, how they work, all the ideas behind them, how to work.
And that is a doc, just like all the other ones, completely composed on the fly using the embeddable components here. So when you get this code, you get the secrets to the universe right there.
I will let you continue with the slides.
All right, let's do
I know
that.
you like slides.
All right, so not all is perfect.
Nope.
It's not all sweetness. No, there's some things that don't happen. So like one of these is
There's a limited nesting of the embedded components. As I said earlier, if you put the HTML, everything you put between the tags are going to be treated as HTML. So for example, here we try to put some fortune embeddable component and questionnaire inside the awesome.
And it didn't work so well, did it?
No, because it's going to be treated as HTML, so that prints directly the content.
So with our strategy, there's no way yet to be able to deal with nested inside a nested inside a nested. So that you just have one level of indirection. There must be other issues.
You tell me.
You tell me. Okay, should we tell them together?
Or someone can.
Sing it together with me. No lazy loading of the embedded components. Actually, we're not sure about that. NG content selectors. They would work. But that's a topic for somebody who has more time than we have. When we say we don't have this, these are things we haven't really explored fully yet.
The thing is, when we created this doc viewer, we created that for the Angular IO side, and we have some specific needs. So some of these open issues, not because you can't do it, is because we didn't need that for the Angular side. Right. So you can work on them. And
maybe you can contribute back, and then you can tell the world how we do these things. But we haven't figured it out ourselves yet, so we just put it out there. The most important thing we can say is that we did not do this all by ourselves.
Nope.
In fact, we had a wonderful team building the infrastructure.
Amazing people.
Yes. And some of them you even know, but there's Igor, of course, and there's Peter, who's running the show here at AngularConnect. There's George Kalapakis and Stephanie, who helped us with all the visual design. She was terrific. And Jules, who oversaw the whole thing and gave us some initial ideas. And Rob, who was in there providing all kinds of gadfly advice.
And my friend Philippe hidden there for moral support.
Oh, yes. Moral support, and he also testing.
Of course.
So that's our way to build oh, shoot. This entire talk is deprecated.
It was a fake.
It's entirely irrelevant. We should have told you that in the beginning, shouldn't we? You could have all gone over and seen Jeff Cross, but no, we would lose our audience and we would be feeling really badly about that.
Yeah.
So sorry, folks. None of this matters because Rob, who really annoys me, is always he's always stepping on my stuff, and here he is in here with this darn Angular Elements thing that you've probably been hearing about. And what can you do with that? Well, you get components, and you can sprinkle them across that, and you don't have to write the glue code that we showed him. None of that crap we showed him. Gone, right? So it's deprecated. I'm totally depressed. This talk is a total waste of time.
It is just magic.
All right, so if you want to learn about it, he's talking about it tomorrow, and he's going to make lots of fun of us. But the key thing to remember is it's a lab. It ain't really there yet, okay? Who knows if it'll ever get there? All right? So until it does, until he can deliver the goods, we got you covered here. Thank you.